Hello, everyone. Welcome to Good Intentions and Bad Outcomes, a podcast about challenges and practices that you might encounter in the workplace, where good intentions have unintended and often unnoticed consequences. I am Gino,
And I'm Wayne.
and every time we share a situation we or one of our listeners have encountered in the workplace that is challenging in some way, we discuss the what and the why, and we try to come up with solutions or alternatives on the spot. So let's get started. So, Wayne, what is the problem for today?
Well, our problem today is similar to one that we talked about not too long ago, and that's where we've got people who are working on, say, multiple teams, and they're asked to attend events and meetings for those multiple teams. So the typical example is someone who is an expert and is providing their talent or their skill to three or four teams, and they're expected to be at the daily stand up for each of those teams. So that's the most of their morning gone. They attend four or five, six stand ups in a row, and then they don't have no more time to do work. So the daily stand up itself is a really good intention, but this situation comes about and it's a bad outcome.
Yeah, and even the fact that team members want to be part of all of those stand-ups, that's a good intention as well. They want to stay up to date. They want to make sure that they are participating in those other teams. They want to know about the obstacles and so forth. So those good intentions are definitely there. And I surely hope there's not too many who go to 4, 5, and 6. But even if you need to go to 2 or 3, the problem is already significant, right?
That's
So
right.
yeah, and again, the intention is definitely there, right? So the reason why we do stand-ups is to make sure that we understand what the team is struggling with, that we make sure that we understand what the team is focusing on today as a team, and also collectively resolve those or identify how you can address these particular obstacles that you might encounter.
That's
Now,
right.
you kind of talked or touched at least um, on the solutions already, or at least on the reasons why this is bad, because the whole morning is gone. When is the time that people are going to actually work on this? And we
Right.
do realize, as you said, Wayne, that we talked about this in the past already, but we're going to approach it from a little bit of a different perspective.
Right.
Because last time we focused on how do we need to set up our team so we are not ending up in that situation. But the reality is that you might be in that situation today, and it won't be that easy to get to the state where everyone is only a part of a single team. So the challenges obviously here are that we require that kind of connection. But at the same time, we can't possibly expect people to be in 5 different stand-up meetings. So Wayne, do you have any ideas on how to potentially address this while we cannot reorganize the teams yet?
Right. So, I'm thinking to myself, the real, like, rolling it back a little bit, the real intention here, the positive intention is it's a communication thing. We want
Yeah.
people to be able to communicate with each other, to talk about the work, to coordinate, organize the work. So we have to be able to make that happen. It's just that the unintended bad outcome is because of the structure or whatever it is, or maybe it's the meetings themselves, the timing of the meetings, whatever. It makes it impossible for people to do this, and it becomes frustrating. So some of the things that we might do in order to make sure that that communication that still happens and is still available for people to do is really be take a look at the schedule of the meetings themselves, how they're put together, what we're talking about, who's there, how often, those types of things. So I'm just thinking off the top of my head, the daily stand-up meeting. I've seen teams schedule several daily stand-up meetings so that they kind of roll through the morning. And if you had
Mhm.
to be at one, you don't have a scheduling conflict where you're supposed to be in two places at once. That might be one simple way just to make sure that who needs to be there is there and can communicate still.
Yeah.
It's a
So
scheduling thing.
yeah, like 2 hours of stand-up, something like that, like making sure that everything is sitting together, and at least you have an interrupted time the rest of the day. Okay,
Right.
that's definitely something that definitely would help. I can think of a couple of others as well. It kind of depends on the situation, of course, as well, right? It's not like
Mhm.
a cookie cutter solution, but if the primarily somebody is working on one team and there are certain tasks that need to happen from other team without really contributing in different ways, then you can bring that work into the team, where you say, okay, well, instead of being in those other stand-ups, we are creating a supplier relationship or with this other team, and as a result, we're taking that work on in our own team. So we still have the stand-up here, and then there is probably something like they call it a scrum of scrums, or another
Yes.
alignment meeting across multiple teams, where you can discuss then those dependencies, and where you can make sure that you provide updates on when those dependencies are resolved, or when obstacles occur related to the dependencies. So
Right.
that's yet another situation or another thing that you can use. And I can think of a few more, but can you think of one other, Wayne?
Well, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking of some of the different scaling frameworks and some of the types of meetings that they recommend. So one is having a joint sprint planning meeting and a
Mhm.
joint sprint review, where you have multiple teams get together. So instead of having the individual events that splits up the day for everybody, you bring all the people together, and you do the whatever it is you're going to do together as a bigger group, which can work. And now we've got opportunity for even more cross team communication, which can be advantageous if it's done right. So like you said, scrum of scrums, it has a layer of concept in it, but you could do, say, a joint daily stand up. Multiple teams talk together. The other thing I have seen, which has worked effectively, is when work is somewhat connected, but you've got two different teams working on it, you could, say, send a representative from one team over to the other team's meeting. The next day, the other team sends a representative back to the first team's meeting. So it's only one person kind of crossing back and forth. You still have communication opportunities, but it's not sucking up a lot of any one person's time.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good suggestion as well. I have one more, and it's actually building on top of what you said already, related to planning and review meetings. I've seen success as well with having people connect on a weekly basis during a progress meeting, which is not a planning, not a review meeting, but it's really an alignment across the team leads and the team leadership of the individual teams on a weekly basis, to ensure that between multiple teams, that there is a shared focus, and that we discuss dependencies and so forth, that later will be followed up on during Scrum of Scrums. But it's almost like a planning for that particular week, like the planning onion. It's one of those smaller layers, or one of those more inside layers.
Right.
So that seems to work quite well as well, and that would actually reduce the need for those people to be in all of those individual stand-ups, because whatever needed to be shared was already shared there. And then they can be invited, of course, still, if that's necessary, but they don't need to, by default, be available for each and every one of those stand-ups, making more time available for them to work with their teams, or to work on whatever that needs to be done. Okay, so those are a couple of interesting suggestions. If you're in that situation where team members will contribute to the work of multiple teams, and as a result, it's expected that they are available during their stand-up, which is not always practical and realistic, if you still want to have some time available for them to get some work done. Any closing remarks, Wayne?
Yeah, I think in closing, I would say I've heard a lot of people complain about having too many meetings, and sometimes we fall into that trap in when we're doing agile. We're trying to keep our meetings short, time box, not too intrusive, but there still seems to be a lot of them, and sometimes they get out of hand. So when we're making opportunities for people to connect and communicate and coordinate the work, we want to be conscious of their time, because we don't want the good intention to turn into that bad outcome. Yeah, just be conscious of people's time. Do what makes sense. You don't have to stick to a playbook or a prescribed set of meetings. Do what makes sense to make sure you're getting that communication done, and done well.
Okay, fantastic. I think that's a great note to send you all off with. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you have a situation at work in the past, or even now, that you feel has unintended bad outcomes, please let us know. We might discuss it in one of our next sessions. Thank you so much, Wayne, and see you all soon.
Thanks, Dino.